You ready? Oh, of course, you have a big mouthful of
Tater
tots.
They're right there.
I keep on rotating it to get you on there more. You keep on shoving it back. Look at that nice new haircut.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 5 seconds. Think you got it? Oh, never mind. That's my bad. You're like, sweet, sweet revenge. Or, I don't know if that's revenge, really.
It's not revenge, but...
All right. Let's try that again. Why, hello.
Hi there.
So we were just chatting about our third child.
Yes. She's messy.
She is. I've been waiting for her to grow out of the messiness stage for 8 years. I guess technically more like 6 years.
Well, I think we should just say that when it comes to eating, she's ambidextrous, except one hand doesn't have a utensil in it, and therefore becomes its own utensil, no matter how hard we try.
We have literally tried the belting to the to the chair back method for her.
That didn't work. And
No.
looking back, probably wasn't the smartest of things. But
No, but we make lots of really stupid mistakes parenting, and our kids are so far still alive and rather well-rounded.
so far,
Yeah.
that's what counseling's for when they're in their later 20s and 30s.
Right? Yeah, so this is the child, our Rosalina. We've been talking about finding etiquette camp for her for like 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a lot less than that. Because, I mean, there's like an expectation of being messy up to a certain age. But yeah, she continues to be, like her spot is always messier than Jonathan's spot,
Yeah.
who's 3 years younger than her.
Yeah. So tonight, we're sitting downstairs, and we have a coffee table that's pretty low to the ground. It's like maybe 13 inches
It's like
off
good
the
old
ground.
Roman style.
Yeah, it's a big modern coffee table I got for free through my last office. And it works perfect for having kids sit and eat at it. And
On the floor.
so we have we have a new area rug. So there's blankets that are laid over the area rug. And there were bits of fish on the blanket. And I said, Rosalina, let Liza come over so she can eat those pieces. Get the bits of fish. And she goes, oh, okay. And she starts to take her plate, and she's going to scrape off all the scraps onto the blanket. I'm like, no. That's not what I mean. We mean the 2 pieces of fish that you just sat on. Huh? What? And she takes the pieces and puts them over next to Liza. Earlier than that, she had a little weird moment with the fish.
There was a like slightly overcooked
Yeah,
section.
there was a smaller thin piece that got overcooked, and she thought it was fin. I said, no, it can't be fin. It's filet. But that was enough for her to say, nope, not going to eat it. I'm done. And so I had to swap the breaded fish for hers. I said, just put your fish on mine. She goes, okay. She takes her hand and just picks up the piece with her hand. I'm like, what are you doing? You could just scrape it with your fork. It was too late. So she just took up the 2 halves of the filet because she broke it apart with her hand.
Yeah.
And put it on my plate. I'm like, great, now go get a napkin and wipe your hands. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll learn eventually.
I know. I love it, but also makes me crazy. It's so distinctly Rosalina.
It's iconic of her, yes.
It is her. She's the only one of Rosalina's in our house in that way.
Yeah. She has other qualities, which are
We've
better.
talked about as well. But yeah, we haven't talked about messiness. So
No.
we'll see when she grows out of it.
Yep.
If she ever grows out of it.
Yeah. So we kept things fish themed tonight. They're watching Aquaman downstairs.
Yep.
We tried to watch Stargate Atlantis, but the internet to no avail.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a March Madness thing.
could
Everyone's
be.
like streaming right now.
Yeah, I don't know. There's March Madness and there's, I guess, college football games. Wait, no. No, Shane must have been talking about this. He was talking about Kentucky versus K-State, and I thought football, but he probably meant basketball.
I'm sure it was basketball.
Yeah, that shows you how much I know.
I know. We just are not into sports. That's okay.
That's all right. Well, I'm Dale.
I'm Kit.
Welcome to Catholic Hitch. We are a Catholic family seeking heaven and hoping to pick up others along the way.
Small talk. So it's been kind of a crazy week this week.
A smidge.
Oh my goodness. I'm not even sure where to begin.
Well, I could start at Wednesday.
Yeah, it was Wednesday.
So Wednesday, I've used Tipping Hat Heating and Air to do various things around the house. They've been a good company.
They installed our
evaporative cooler. They've come and unclogged the drain a few times, and children decide to stick paper towels in the toilet, which I never do unless you want to pay for them because they get stuck. And other various just odds and ends we've had done around the house. But the major one was the evaporative cooler. And so they had a thing that came through and said, hey, you get a free tune-up of your heater or air conditioner whenever you want to use it. I'm like, great. Come on over, take a look at our heater, because for, I don't know, like 2 years now, it's been doing this weird short cycling thing when the air filter gets a little dirty. And I've cleaned whatever the sensor is that tells it when it gets too ready to turn on, or it gets too hot or something like that. I can't remember. It's not an orifice, it's another thing. So I've cleaned that a couple of times, and that solved the problem. I haven't done it this year. I figured out, they clean that up and take a look. So guy gets in here, gives me the call, and says, hey, I've seen a couple of things here, want to talk through it with you. So there's a valve that is supposed to regulate the gas. Well, it's doing this weird fluttery thing. It's not balancing very well, so I'd really recommend you replace that. And then your fan that kind of power heats the air as it goes in to get it ready to start up on fire. It's starting to go. The bearings are getting pretty loose in there. So you probably could wait a little while on that, but I'd probably just go ahead and get it done. Oh, and by the way, yeah, the vent that goes up into your roof, to vent your gases.
The carbon monoxide vent.
Yeah, the carbon monoxide, and where the exhaust is. Yeah, it's pretty rusted, and I found some holes on the backside, so you probably should get that taken care of. I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah, sure, let's just go ahead and tell me how much that'll all be. And so he does this thing, calls me back in like 10 minutes. And he's like, yeah, so I sent it to you. And I open it up, and it's $4,200 to replace 2 parts and a vent. And I'm like, ouch. I don't want to spend that.
Yeah.
So the guy's like, well, we've got some deals right now if you be interested. And I said, okay, well, fine. Quote me on replacement, because I figured, why spend $4,000 on a heating unit that has been in place since like 1991. And while you're at it, go ahead and tell me how much it'll cost.
It wasn't since 1991. It was like 2010.
2010?
Yeah. It was not that long before.
No, that one was 1991.
The furnace?
The furnace had 1991 written on it when it was installed in black Sharpie.
Oh, wow. So we're really lucky that it lasted this long.
Yes.
1991.
Years? Yes. 1991.
Okay, well, I hope this one. Anyway, continue.
Yes. Yeah. So that was part of the decision making. If it said 2010, I'm like, put new parts in it. Go down the road. Because it should last. But it was 1991. It was when the back addition to the house was put in. They put that in.
Okay, that makes sense because there was a larger space to heat.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So he gives us a quote, and the way they do it is, hey, we've got the basic plan, the good plan, and the premier plan. And the basic plan was like $15,000, and the premier plan was $21,000. I'm like, crap. I don't want to spend that kind of money. So I'm like, thanks for that. That appreciative. I'll let you know when I'm ready to do the other. And basically going, here's another to-do thing that I need to take care of. I know I need to buy 2 parts for the heater, and I need to get new duct vent. Fine, I'll do it.
Yeah, so when they called you back the next day, you were basically like, no, thank you.
Yeah, they called me on Thursday and like, hey, so, we just want to let you know we've got some availability. This is our off season, and we got a couple of guys that, we're going to have to just let go home right now because we don't have any jobs for them to work on this week, which of course hits me. And then he's like, I talked to my boss, and we, he's saying I can do some dramatic cuts for you. It's all salesman stuff. But I'm like, okay, fine. I want to get the premier unit, and tell me how much that cost. He's like, well, looking at it, let me give you a call back. So he calls me back. He's like, I can do the premier unit for $9,400, and we've got it in stock, and I'll throw in a humidifier, and we'll do the 10-year warranty checks on it and maintenance. Great, sold, good, because that's about how much I would expect to spend for a brand new unit getting installed in my house.
Yeah.
Not $15,000.
Yeah.
Because the $15,000 option just had like the cheapest Bradley White water heater that you can get, which I could go and get at Home Depot.
Well, we were
gonna
do a bundle kind of thing.
Yeah, we were looking at the bundle of a water heater and the tankless. So the water heater would not be $5,000.
Yeah.
So I knew it was a good deal. It was a brand new unit. It's 96% efficiency. It sounded like the way to go.
Yeah, so you call me and you're like, so you around today? And I'm like, no, I'm not around today. This is my biggest day for meetings, and I have to be out at like noon and yada yada. I'm on a presentation at 11. And so this all kind of coalesces really fast. Not only am I getting the phone call from you about this like big thing going down, our birds start really getting out of the baby brooder and it becomes like really important that they go into a larger setup. So I try to really quickly move them into a larger setup, think that it's all going well. And then, 15 minutes or so before I'm supposed to be presenting to like half a dozen people on Zoom, I have escaping birds out of this like super secure larger brooder that I did. Yeah. So I'm like running down birds. I'm throwing them back in the baby brooder. I'm just throwing a lid on it with like a weight.
Plastic lid. Yeah. And if the birds had an MP3 player, it would have been playing "I Believe I Can Fly."
They could fit through the gaps in the bars, which I didn't anticipate, which of course I should have because, they're just skin and bones under those feathers. So all of that is happening. And then, I'm realizing I have to change locations because there's going to be workmen coming through my background otherwise.
And they said that they would get here about 11:30 to start. So I'm like, great. I'll get there at 11:30 and I will meet them. And so I'm leaving the office and you call me and say, they're here.
Yeah.
And was it 10:45 or something like that?
Something. It was right before my presentation.
I had not left the office yet.
And so I opened the door and I'm like, I have to be presenting at 11. Like, I hope you guys can figure things out. And then I have to start setting, I test headphones to see how it's working. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on.
I get here right at 11:31.
Yeah.
The other guy, the salesman, comes and meets me. And I go downstairs and they've already got the heater out, the ductwork out, and I hadn't even signed the paperwork yet. Like,
kind of insane
that
they
did that.
Cranking
away.
They should not have done that.
I mean, I guess they thought because it wasn't the first time we had been a customer of theirs that, just go. I mean, you could tell they were hungry. Yeah, as far as like a business, they needed to keep their crews busy. You could tell. Which is fine for me because I don't want to pay the premium prices of subcontractors these days. But you get down there and they're doing all of that work. And then the guy, their electrician, he's like walking in the door. He's like, hey, where's your house panel? I'm like, so I'm pointing him to the house panel. He's like, oh, furnace. I'm like, hey, wait, don't trust the black Sharpie on that panel. Don't know if that's actually true. He's like, oh, okay. Clicks it off. He's like, hey, is it off down there? Yeah, it's off. And go down, and it's also the circuit that goes to one of our Wi-Fi boosters. So
I'm like in the middle of my presentation, and it goes dead on everyone. And fortunately, I told folks that I had contractors showing up early and really apologies. So everyone was like a very good sport on the call. But in the middle of this presentation, I'm like, listening to questions and answering questions, walking with my Surface into our bedroom, which is my pet peeve of Zoom. I hate bedroom Zoom calls. It's just an irritation of mine in a professional setting.
Yes.
So I have to like recamp out in our bedroom. So I'm next to our other Wi-Fi.
I'm turning on the sound machines on the outside of the door. So hopefully it'll help to make not as much noise in the room for you.
Yeah.
And your boss said that you had the weirdest, funniest face.
Yeah, he said when I reconnected, and that was about when you were telling me that they unplugged the Wi-Fi, that I had like this dagger's look or something.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He said he wished he had like screen captured it at that moment. But I mean, actually, it was a really great meeting in the end, and it was the kind of meeting that makes you feel like a BA, like a badass.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it was just kind of nice to have every once in a while. And then I had to jet, so you were here the rest of the day.
Yeah, so I was working on the couch interim of checking on what they're doing and making sure that the kids are staying out of the way. Because was that Thursday?
It was Thursday.
Yeah, it was Thursday. Jonathan was home?
No. He had a car. So because I had expected to be out, we had carpool delivery.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Your parents had decided that they would help bring him home because I wasn't expected to be at the house or available to pick him up. And yeah, so you were downtown, and so I'm working remote on my computer, going back and forth, making sure that they're not doing anything too crazy. And because they came in such a quick mode and just ran straight in, I didn't have a chance to clean up. You didn't have a chance to clean up anything downstairs. So there is toys everywhere. They're like stepping on the big bear that we have, the big stuffy bear. They get done, and I mean, there's sawdust on the floor, and there's rust crumb bits all over the brand new area rug, and in one of our IKEA chairs. It was a little chaotic.
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't
it was probably
here.
a lot chaotic, but.
Wow.
And part of the selling point of this whole unit was, which I didn't know because I probably would have said no, is this is the state-of-the-art unit. This is only the second one that they've installed. Knowing that, I'm like, crap, I would have gone for the 90% efficiency one. Give me the one that's been tested and true for a while. So we'll see.
I mean, we have the warranty.
We have a warranty. It's 10 years. We'll see how it does. But already, when we tried to hook up the Ream touch screen thermostat, it's supposed to have an app. You go to the app website. Oh, I'm sorry. This app is too old for your Android OS. Like, you gotta be kidding me. This is a brand new unit from Ream, and their app is already buggy, and it hasn't been updated since June of 2021.
I mean, an app is not a game.
It's not a game changer.
For us.
It works, but
We're not
it would have
smart
been
house
nice to be able to have that feature. It wasn't like the key selling point for us by any means, but it was kind of one of those things that would have been nice.
I mean, it would have meant your pregnant wife could just keep her butt on the chair and not have to walk to like check the humidity setting. Right. But that's not that big a deal. So that was just Thursday. Do you want to talk about Saturday?
Well, no.
No,
you
you're
have
not
to
done?
keep on
Okay.
Friday.
What happened Friday?
So rather than going to Stations of the Cross, the dishwasher has been running, and only reason that I noticed this issue was because with the humidifier they put in a exhausting line, which is overflow. So they routed it all the way up over the joists and then down again behind our washer into the washer drain pipe. And I noticed that one of our what is it called? It's the Studer vent, air admittance valves. The air admittance valves that sit next to the washer was making this weird noise, and I'd never seen that before. Well, it was letting air out the wrong way. An air admittance valve is only supposed to let air into the system so that your drain will drain properly, but it doesn't let the swamp gas and sewer stuff come out. So it was not working. I think, okay, fine, I'll have to deal with that. And I saw that Thursday night. Then on Friday, amongst everything else that had gone on in that day, I realized that it's holding water. Like there's literal water coming out of this pipe, and it's the one that's connected to our dishwasher and our kitchen and our addition. And so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll get a new vacuum booster. So I start looking at it, realizing that it's having a flood issue. So I take off the air admittance valve, and then water just starts rushing out. I'm like, great. flood time, just after I cleaned everything from the HVAC guys being here.
I forgot.
Now there's water everywhere. So I'm literally going into the girls' bathroom, grabbing their nice towels, throwing them on the floor to just soak up as much as I could and try to direct it to the other drain. And then while you guys were watching a movie or doing something, I can't even remember. Oh, you were watching the Wind Feather saga?
Oh, the Wing Feather
Feather saga. Yeah, so you guys are watching that, and I would have loved to have watched that.
Sorry.
But it's fine. I'll watch it again. I'll binge it. And I've got our 15-foot long snake, and I'm just going in there working for like an hour to try to clear it.
But
and
what was
what
it?
do I find in there?
I know. It's your wife. Your wife did it.
There's wood chips from the chickens that have gone down the
chicken
drain,
bedding.
and it's clogged it. And so I'm
in my
sitting
defense,
there.
you know, it went down the garbage
It-
disposal, and I
apparently.
definitely garbage disposalified it. But
Yes.
wood is in a special category, and now I know that.
Yes.
Um,
And it wasn't
mea
like there were,
culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima
it wasn't
culpa.
like there were big bits. They were all little small tender
Oh,
bits
man.
that were in there. So routed it, I don't know, 5-6 times, and it
Ugh.
finally cleared out. Run to Home Depot before they close. Get an air remittance valve. Get a couple other things. Come back. Get it fixed. Get it all cleaned up. And there's Friday.
Yeah. And so now, I mean, in the new brooder, they don't mess the water up quite as bad because it's suspended, which is
Oh.
good. But they messed up their water so much. It would always have wood chips in it. And I'd go to clean their water, you know, every hour and a half through the entire day. So yeah, that accumulates
Yeah.
a lot of wood chips in a week.
Right. Speaking of wood chips, when I went to clean all the rust off of the carpet and I was having Christina help me, the vacuum was going, wee! It was like super screaming high. I'm like, it's got to clog.
know.
So we go and look, and the wood chips had gotten stuck inside the little
It did it again
hose.
today. I had to clear it out.
Yeah.
Wood chip problems.
Yes.
I mean, it's 6 weeks. It's just like toilet training a cat. It's 6 weeks of horribleness, and then it's done. So
And
it'll
then
be
it's done.
outside in 6 weeks.
In 6 weeks.
5 weeks, technically. All right, so that was just Friday. So now, Saturday.
So Saturday, so our washer has been making funky noises.
As you talked about last week.
Did I?
Yeah,
Okay,
you
good.
did.
Yeah, so I ordered the bearings for it, and the kind of the back bushing thing that keeps it from leaking. And I'm like, okay, this will be the day. Terrence and I and Johnny will just get into it and have a big father-son time. And so I think it started about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I literally pulled the entire front load washer apart the whole way. And I think by 1-ish, 2-ish, we got to the point to where we had the bearings done and put it back in, but broke one of the stabilizers along the way. The other stabilizer, I had to put a zip tie on it to keep it together. And then the doors got some ripping in it, so I was afraid it was going to leak. And I'm like, well, I'll just go down to Appliance Factory Warehouse, get the parts I need. Well, we run down there before they close because nobody answers the phone because they're, of course, too busy. And it's like 4:20. They close at 5. And the guy's looking up the washer. And they don't make parts for it anymore through them.
Too old.
Too old. He's like, when did you guys get this? I'm like, it was like 2011, 2012. He's like, huh, that's odd. He's like, yeah, I can't get a single part for that thing. They don't make them anymore. I'm like, are you kidding me? Thanks, GE. Fine. So, which I still need to do this. I haven't done it yet. I have to go on Amazon and order them because I can find them on Amazon. These parts exist there. I get home and Terrence and I continue again. He was a trooper through the whole day. Like it wasn't just me doing the work. He was taking off nuts and bolts. We had a little bucket. He was putting them in there.
Well,
We're
it's
keeping track
cool.
thing. We took photos of everything.
As you were telling him at the very end, like, to help you clean up the parts, you're, like, referring to parts by their manufacturer and, like, grab all the blah, blah, blah parts and put them back in the blah, blah, blah kit. And he knew exactly what to do. Like, he starts getting to work. So
Yeah.
he learned a lot. He
did.
has been learning a lot from you.
He has, and he has had to learn. So it's a weird thing. When I was a kid, and a guy would be over helping or doing something at the house, and he would say, "Hey, I need you to go get this out of the toolbox." I'd be like, "Sure," and I'd go in and I'd be like, what did he want? I don't remember. Maybe it was this thing. I'd run back and it was the wrong thing completely. And I go back. And so I learned that I had to pay very close attention in order to figure out what I was actually supposed to grab and where it was. Unbeknownst to me at the time, this is a dyslexic issue where you just don't understand. Like when I tell Christina to get something and I tell her exact drawer, she gets it immediately. And it's not like because she's 14 and Terrence is 10. No, when she was 10, she was able to do this. So now
Rosalina can get stuff.
Yeah, now picture this. I'm a tired gentleman. It's later in the day and I have dyslexia. So I'm trying to describe where something is. And I'm like, the big box on top of the little box on top of the big box. And I think it's the third drawer, maybe the fourth drawer down. And I need you to get these things that look like an L shape out. Yeah, go do that. And he's like, what? Okay. And he comes back with the complete wrong thing. I'm like, let's just go together. Because I couldn't explain it because I'm tired. And he couldn't understand it because he's tired. So two dyslexic guys just not getting anything done. It was a little rough.
Occasionally.
It wasn't all the time. I was able to use my words on occasion, like tell him to get the channel locks, which by the end he knew what channel locks were. I told him to get a 3/8 socket wrench out with an 18 millimeter socket, and he comes back with a crescent wrench. I'm like, no, son, that's not what I mean. And I tried to explain to him, I need the 3/8 socket to reducer to a 1/4 inch. And it should be on the far right-hand side of the big red drawer. Go look for it. And I'm doing some things, and like 5 to 6 minutes go by. I need to go rescue my son. So we go out there, and he's like, I'm looking around. I can't find it.
Do you know what this is reminding me of? So there's a moment in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when they are describing to like little Groot how he needs to locate the old like original prototype fin. And he comes back with like a finger.
Yes.
And
eyeball.
a thumb. An eyeball.
Yeah, all kinds of random stuff. Underwear, I think one of them was. Yes. Yeah, that's basically what was happening. It's exactly
Except you could get out of jail to help him.
Yeah. So I go out there and I find he's looking around and he's like, is it this? And he's got like an 1 3/4 socket in his hand that would go on a 3/4 bit drive. And I'm like, no, that's not it.
But long
I
story
help him find
short.
it. Long story short, I think it was like 5 o'clock or so. I'm getting back. You guys you went to Adoration. Terrence and I are still working away. You come back. You made probably one of the best chilies and cornbreads I've had in a very long time. It smelled so good. The whole family eats because I'm in work mode.
Yeah.
When I get into this mode, I don't stop until I'm done.
Yeah, I made you stop eventually.
Yeah, you made me stop. I scarfed the food, went back downstairs, and while you guys were eating, I got it almost all the way done, like put back together. So get it all back together after eating, have a little bit more energy, put it back in place, start up the basket wash, and then it's peeing all on the floor. I'm like, shit. What did I do wrong?
Like, I'm going to check one thing, and if it isn't that thing, we're getting a new washer.
Yeah, basically. I'm like, if it's the back bearing, I'm done.
You're tapping out.
And the whole reason this whole extravaganza even started was because I looked online. I'm like, I'll just buy a new washer. Washers have gone up. I mean, to get the same quality level washer that I bought the last time, I think I paid maybe $600, maybe $700. It was a scratch and dent unit. Yep. So, it'd be a little bit more expensive. But I'm looking at comparable units are starting at $1,600. I'm like, I'm not spending $1,600 when all I need is $100 worth of parts.
Yeah.
So, 12 hours later, get it all back together, realize that I had forgotten to screw the heater coil. So there's a heater coil on the bottom of the tank, the tub as it's called, and it was just pouring water once I took the bottom flap off to see what was going on. Got it back together and then ran the wash, and it worked.
Yep, it works great.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yep, for now. I've tried babied a couple of loads into it, and it's been doing okay.
Yeah.
But it sounds a lot better. It doesn't make noise. Huzzah.
Huzzah.
Yeah, but I can feel those stairs today. I think I probably walked 4-6 stories worth of stairs yesterday. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up,
I'm sure
down.
you did. That's only a few times up and down.
It might have been more than that. I felt that moment. You've heard me. I was at the bottom of the stairs, and I said, "Oh, my arch nemesis, stairs." To quote Poe.
Yep. You're kind of like in my category where you really want to minimize the amount of up and down stairs time.
Yeah.
And use those kids.
Oh, yeah, I've been doing that.
Put the kids to work.
And then, what happened? Today.
Oh, well, we had a coop delivered. So, we've been looking for a used chicken coop for ages. And we really ought to have just dived on it in December, because that's the time when you can really get used chicken coops. You can get tons of super tiny chicken coops that could fit like 2 chickens. There's tons of those out there, but not for the size that we need. So we found a guy finally, providentially, on Facebook Market, and he makes essentially unfinished chicken coops. So it was a really good price, after you had spec'd the material cost for you to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would have cost me, just to get the material, would have cost me the same as this guy building one.
I know, and it's really well made.
Yeah,
so he made it, and it got delivered today. And, you were doing the stubborn man thing of, like, I'm like, so I could text my brother-in-law to see if he's available to come over and could do that. And you're like, no.
I don't want to bother him.
And then
He's
you
fine.
stand up
He's
and
gotta
you're
work.
like, oh, like, you sound like me. And I'm like, I'm texting them. So it was actually nice. The delivery took longer than we thought it would take. But yeah, so we had a nice visit with my sister and brother-in-law and their kiddos playing with our kiddos.
I'm guessing.
That was really great.
So the guy, he said he was coming from Wheat Ridge, and I was thinking in my brain, me coming from Wheat Ridge, it's like a 20-minute drive. But apparently on Sunday, when you got a trailer with a chicken coop in it, it takes an hour and a half to get to our end of town.
Yeah.
And so
we had a nice long visit with my
we
sister.
had a nice long visit. It was a good conversation. It was nice. We were almost on the verge of being like, we'll just cook food and you guys can stay here. And they're like, no, we've got adoration and we've got to go do shopping and all the other stuff. I'm like, oh, we've just ruined your Sunday. I'm sorry.
I know, I felt bad, but I think they enjoyed the visit.
They did.
Or they were being very gracious.
Yeah, the kids enjoyed. They got to play together, and they haven't had a chance to do that in a while. But yeah, so the guy gets here, and he's got like a U-Haul trailer with a coop that barely fits on the U-Haul trailer. And I was telling our brother-in-law that, I thought this would maybe be like 300 pounds. No, this bad boy is easily 600. It's a biggin'. And
it's very well built.
He gets it off, and somehow he used a moving dolly. So it just has 4 trucking wheels on it. They all move together. And he used that, and then he used a trucking dolly, which is, the one with the 2 wheels and little thin blade at the bottom that you tilt like a refrigerator or something over. Somehow he and his brother got it on there and did it that way. I have no clue how, but they did. They're burly men. They were not small men.
They were not small men.
Your brother-in-law, he's a tall guy, and this guy was taller than him.
Oh, so, wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
He's super tall then.
He was a tall man. So, he's like taking the whole thing with one hand and pushing it up, and he added a board kind of like midway that we were going to use to support the trucking dolly, and I grabbed mine out of the garage, so we were going to use both of them. And he's like holding it up here. I'm like, cool, thanks for putting one at my height. So I'm able to help a little bit lift this thing because I had no leverage points whatsoever on this thing. And then we get it off of the U-Haul, get it rotated, and then we ended up taking both of the trucking dollies, putting them underneath, and then putting the 4-wheel truck underneath where the hens coop, what do you call it? The spot where they lay the eggs.
Man, now I'm like...
That thing.
I'm blanking out now.
Whatever that's called,
yeah.
where they lay the eggs, and there's a little hinge flap so you can like lift it up and get the eggs out real quick. Hatchery or something like that. He put the trucking dolly under there, and then we rotated the whole thing, and we're like, crap, how are we going to get this out through the grass because we had to get it all the way to the backyard. And I'm feeling horrible. So I'm like, if we can just get it up to like the house, I'll deal with it later. And he's like, yeah, we're going to get it this far. So he had a couple of pieces of plywood. I had a couple of pieces of plywood. We laid them down, and then it started like linebacker style between the two of them and our brother-in-law.
Oh my gosh.
Pushing this thing back, and I'm on the front end steering it and telling them when they get to the edge of the plywood, I'm like, whoa. And then we take another piece from the back, put it into the front, keep moving, trying to guide it. And then we get it. Somehow it actually worked that between two wheels and then the bars of the trucking dollies on the plywood and then the four-wheeler, we pushed it all the way into the concrete next to the tree. And like, we can get it past the tree. I'm like, no, it's too tall. So I have to deal with that later.
That's why we have neighbors, and I know all our
and
neighbors.
Harbor Freight.
And make some margaritas up or whatever you make in the springtime. And Harbor Freight.
But super well made. It did not crack or creak or do anything funky.
Awesome.
The whole way. He built it very sturdily. All I got to do, in theory, is just put 2 windows in it, and then it's done. But we might put siding on it and do some other things.
We're going to think about it. I need to actually look. I haven't been in
there.
The
one thing you did say you got to be careful of, so it has the same kind of hook latch that we do on the gates for the door. And if a kid shuts that, they can get stuck inside.
Oh, okay.
Instead of being with the chickens all night.
Hopefully we don't lose a kid in
that was
the
joke
coop.
he was saying. And I'm like, so I will just probably put like a little rope chain on the inside so you can pull, because I don't think the chickens would be able to pull on that and open it themselves.
I mean, they didn't Shawshank Redemption out of their cardboard sided brooder last night. So
Not yet.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if they all combine their intelligence, they could do it.
Yeah. I mean, the way this week went, it makes you feel kind of prepared to have this little kiddo. Cause this was pretty hectic, and that seems pretty easy.
Well, I'm very glad now that my labor didn't start on Friday, because can you imagine Tyler having to be in charge of this all by himself? And just, not that he couldn't handle it, but it's just like a lot to ask of someone without us being really available. So, yeah, I guess we can have a short, big talk.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So my idea, and this is actually a good short topic too, I just wanted to talk about like some of the prayer preparations that have been made for this kiddo.
Oh, yes.
Because, I talked a lot about what I'm feeling and experiencing. And I guess I didn't share that I'm drinking raspberry tea to prepare, but
we're trying everything this time around.
We are. Everything's available. But I've been approaching this kiddo in a different way, because I'm in a different place in my spiritual life than I was with any of our other children, because it's a journey, and I'm in a good place, really strong place. So I've been like, I don't know, just very intentional about things. So one of the things I thought of a long time ago, back in like early January, I was thinking, I should do a 54-day rosary novena leading up to this kiddo. Mm-hmm. So I kind of figured out when I was going to need to start, given that I would most likely be inducing, which is of course still happening on Wednesday night. And I happened to mention to my spiritual director that I had planned for this. And she's like, oh, I'll pray with you. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, that's a lot. Like, that's a big commitment. Are you sure? Like, you have lots of people to pray for. And she's like, no. I'll pray this with you. What day are you starting? So I'm like, oh, that's really nice. And then I go out with my mom and my sister for coffee. And I mentioned to them that I'm going to be starting this 54-day rosary novena. And like my mom and my sister are like, it's the swing. Sorry, the
you
coop.
Put a swing in?
I did.
Okay.
They're trying to learn how to use it.
Okay. Like, what the heck did they do in there?
It's going to be...
It sounded like one of them brained one of the other ones. Like, what's going on?
All right.
Sorry. Carry on. 54
Novena. So I was out with my sister and my mom and mentioned the novena, and they're like, we'll do it too. And they asked like when to start it. So all of a sudden I have, 3 other people who are praying this with me, and my novena begins, and I mention it to a wonderful woman at church who is basically like my volunteer assistant for faith formation. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be the most prayed for kid. I'm doing a rosary novena. My mom's helping me, and my spiritual director. And she's like, oh, I'll pray a rosary novena with you. And, since then I've been kind of afraid to like mention it to people because I'm like,
Too much of a prayer chain going on
I
for
don't
you?
know. But I mean, this kiddo is coming into the world with so many prayers. Something I didn't mention is that same volunteer that decided, she kind of joined in the novena a couple days after we started it. She organized a baby blessing. I don't think that we talked about that in the podcast. So we were showered in gifts and gift cards.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've been afraid to tally them up because
We don't need to know.
Yeah, very generous.
It's grace. It's wonderful.
And then lots of cards and just people saying that they're praying for us. And because I'm involved in church so much more than I ever have been, I'm going to daily mass and I'm just hearing all the time all the people that are praying for me. My mom's telling me how all of her Latin mass friends are praying for me and checking in on me. And I just feel like really honored and blown away by just people's generosity to pray. And my friends are, of course, praying for me and for you as well for this baby. But I haven't mentioned the Rosary Novena to them out of fear. Like, I don't want to put more on people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then today, something like really spectacular happens. Do you want to talk about it? Or
Well, you should back up to Friday because we thought something was going to happen on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of the chaos that happened.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so we have a parent-teacher conference really early on Friday. And I think, okay, this is early enough we can get to Mass. And they were going to try to start labor on Friday. Of course, my body's not ready for labor to start, so that wasn't going to happen. We did not know that in the morning. And I was like, let's go to Mass and we can try to get a blessing. And we got there a little too late for my comfort level to like nip into Mass. And so we just hung out until the end of Mass. And I went and grabbed Father and said, hey, would you mind giving me a blessing? There's a possibility labor's going to start today. And, I went and grabbed you out of adoration because you were saying a rosary in there.
Yep.
And he actually did something that I've never done before, which, so he said, oh, well, do you want to have the Eucharist? And I said, well, we didn't go to Mass. I kind of feel a little weird about it, but sure. And so he took us down to the base of the nave right before the sanctuary. And he did a tiny liturgy with us.
Yes.
Like a mini Mass.
It was a communion liturgy, I think is what it would be.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
So we did
Never
the
done that
penitential
before.
rite, and then we did all of the I am not worthy. Yeah, then a communion basically,
Yeah,
right? Because
Confiteor.
they didn't do Confiteor. We did the I am not worthy that you should enter under my roof.
Yes.
Because that's entering into the final part of the communion.
Yes, and then he went up, grabbed 2 Eucharist from the tabernacle, came back down, body Christ, went back up.
And then he blessed us.
Yeah, and then he blessed us.
So it was amazing.
Cool. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah.
And then today, so Father, before Mass, he's
Our
like,
pastor,
he's like, hey, Dale, let me show you this prayer I've been thinking about doing. I'm like, sure, Father. And it's like 10 minutes before Mass. He's like, I think I want to do this. And it was a prayer for a pregnant mother and her family. And then everybody in the parish that, and
it basically became the concluding prayer.
Yeah, it was this great little prayer. I'm like trying not to turn beet red as he's talking about this, because I know that this means that not only does my wife get a blessing, which would have been fine, but my entire family has to get a blessing. And I'm on the altar with my son, which means that it's kind of this little show that's happening up there. And so I'm like, okay, well, if you want to do it, and he goes down and talks to you, and then I'm getting everything else ready, go to the back, and I'm telling Terrence and David, the other altar server, hey guys, so there might be a prayer at the end, and they're like, oh yeah, Father talked to us about it. Dave's like, yeah, I'm going to hold the book for him. Okay, great. I was hoping that wasn't going to happen and it would just go away, but okay, yeah, I guess it will.
Dale.
You just don't want to be in the limelight of it,
I know, but
I know it's not the point, and it's not like I'm like, haha, look at me, I'm getting a prayer. It's just I feel that, I'm like, I'm supposed to vanish like ninja up there, not come down. So it was beautiful. It was, not gonna deny it. But
so he calls us up basically after the announcements. We come to, and we were sitting pretty close, so it wasn't like a big to do. You were called down. He told you, Dale, go stand by your wife.
Yes.
So everyone's made the connection that you and I are married.
Yes.
And then
Terrence,
he is blessing us, and I just start
family,
weeping.
my mom,
your mom was there too.
She was praying for us through it, and Yeah, it was very beautiful.
It was.
It was very nice.
Really
the whole
touching.
community is praying, which is wonderful. So like grace upon grace upon grace has been for this little one. So come on out of there. Seriously.
I think that they want to come out. It's just my body's being
your body.
My body. It's what it does. That's why I get induced.
I know.
But yeah, it's just it's a really amazing way to start this endeavor. Like going into labor, going into preparing, God willing, for, a healthy birth for this baby.
So Wednesday night,
evening,
Thursday morning.
Yeah. It'll be Thursday morning at some point.
Unless they come early, which is doubtful.
They can't come early. I mean, 4 hours, that would be, I guess you
No.
know.
I mean, there's Monday, Tuesday,
Yeah.
and then early on Wednesday. They could come. In theory.
In theory.
Probably not going to happen.
It just has not
It's
happened
to be
before.
comfortable in there. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll tell everybody here next Sunday.
Yeah, probably. I think we'll be able to by then.
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes. Because if we have the baby on Thursday, I've technically got a interview on Friday for a potential church
I know. I already
project.
told you that you can go jet for that. It'll be okay.
Yeah, I know.
Unless I almost die or something, then don't leave
Yeah,
me.
I'm not going to. I'll be like, hi, Zoom call. So I'm going to turn this over to our project manager, and he's going to run the whole thing for you because my wife and I are in the hospital right now with the baby, and I'm not leaving my family. Sorry. Graces, and I will be praying for your parish, but got other things I got to deal with right now, and they'll be totally fine with it. But
Most churches are.
yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's like when they ask me, I'm like, well, if we could do it, at least 4 days before this, I'm gonna maybe have a baby. Like, oh yeah, sure. And then they called me back. Can you do it 2 days before you have a baby? Sure. I guess I could do that. So now it's 1 day before I have a baby.
Isn't it
Thursday.
1 day after?
Or 1 day after.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Dyslexic. 1 day after have the baby. No Back to the Future.
No Back to the Future. So we're in crunch time, and I'm feeling pretty good. I would have liked labor to have begun on Friday in a way.
Yeah.
Just because, that last month you were just ready with babies.
You are ready.
And yeah, I get big. Oh, the other nice thing that happened because we were blessed today is another couple who's expecting their first baby just a couple days after us. They're going to be induced at the same hospital. So we'll be induced Wednesday evening, and they'll be induced like on the Monday following. So they were,
One good deed deserves another.
They went and asked Father if he would bless them. So it was really nice.
Yeah, he was running around like crazy.
Yeah.
I was talking to the end. I was thanking him for, doing what he did.
Thank you.
And then I was going to say, because I didn't get to it on Friday, I forgot. I still need to go over and help him with his, he's trying to be able to get the Angel Studio app to work on his TV.
Oh, yeah.
He's got so many things going on. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go home and, just take a little time. And then this lady comes over and she's like, Father, do you still have time for a confession? He's like, oh, I forgot all about that. And he's like, well, I saw you running around doing all these things. Like, no.
I know. This is where I worry about our pastor.
Yeah, he's
so
an
pastoral.
amazing pastor, has pastoral care coming out of every orifice. But yeah, we just don't want him to burn out.
We don't.
We want him to be given the graces that God gives without the PTSD that can come with being a pastor. So yeah. If you're ever wondering about your pastor, pray for them. They are going in every direction. Yeah, it makes our week look like nothing compared to what he's been doing.
That's true. Our crazy week this week was not much at all.
Not at all, because he's going from probably 7 a.m. to 12 o'clock at night every day. It's just crazy. He came into our leader meeting, and he had brought his lunch with him, and it was a bowl of great grains with some milk in it. He's like, I got my lunch today. And one of the other gals had brought him a lunch, and he's like, I've got my dinner now. Like works out for him, but it's like, you're busy when all you have time to do is pour some great grains into a Tupperware, add some milk, and go.
Yeah.
It was so wild.
It was thoughtful for him to, I was going to ask him to bless us, but after Mass, today.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's when he came up and he's like, would you be up for this? And I was like, yeah, I was actually, I wanted to do, I mean, not anything this extravagant. So it felt like a great blessing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, I felt a lot of grace through
Yeah.
it.
It was in Omaha today. Omaha.
It was.
Lots of Omahas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So with that, if you got any crazy other stories you'd like to tell us about, we'd love to hear about it. CatholicHitch@gmail.com.
May the Lord guide and direct our journey.
Amen. Is that amen too weird? It's like, amen.
Keep drinking, honey.